Ash rained from the heavens like gray snow, coating the rust-colored ground of Erebus Prime. The warning sirens were still howling when Captain Dara Voss kicked open the steel hatch to the comm tower, rifle slung over her shoulder, face streaked with soot. The skyline, usually jagged with volcanic ridges, was now lit by streaks of descending fire. Dropships. They came in waves, sleek and black, part biological, part machine, humming with a low, predatory resonance that made Voss's teeth hurt. She didn't need confirmation. The Dominion had arrived. "Command's dark," her comms officer muttered, fiddling with a cracked console. "We've been cut off." Voss didn't respond immediately. She stared upward as one of the dropships disgorged troops in midair, elegant, silver-armored figures with segmented limbs and glowing blue visors. They moved like liquid, like death incarnate. "Get everyone underground," she said sharply. "Now!" In the colony square, civilians were scattering. Mothers clutching children. Miners still in work gear. The militia, mostly ex-soldiers and stubborn settlers, were forming a shaky perimeter. Voss grabbed a megaphone from a storage crate. "Evac routes Alpha and Bravo. You trained for this. Don't look at the sky. Look at the person beside you. Move!" Her voice snapped the crowd into motion. A few soldiers fell in beside her, including Sergeant Kell, lean and grim-eyed, rifle already hot from the last skirmish. "How many?" he asked. "Too many." The first wave hit the square like a hammer. Dominion enforcers advanced without fear, fluid and perfect in formation. Plasma tore through barricades. Voss dropped to one knee behind cover, firing with practiced precision. She didn't aim to kill, yet. She aimed to stall. "Get the civs out!" she shouted. "Go!" A scream broke behind her. She pivoted. A woman clutched a child too young to walk. Dominion soldiers approached methodically, weapons leveled. Voss surged forward. 2 shots. The enforcer staggered, not dead, but dazed. She reached the woman, grabbed the kid, hauled them both behind cover. A plasma bolt scorched the air where her head had been a second earlier. "Sergeant Kell! Flank left, push them toward the crater." "Copy that." By sunset, the square was ash and blood. The colony's upper decks had been gutted. The Dominion hadn't bothered to take prisoners. The ones they didn't kill, they simply ignored, unless they fought. Voss stood in the ruins of the med center, face lit by distant fire. The air smelled of melted metal and scorched flesh. Beside her, a dying militia fighter wheezed his last breath. She didn't know his name. She stared at the stars above, no longer hers, and hated how quiet the sky had become. A Dominion drone drifted overhead, scanning the wreckage. Voss raised her rifle and brought it down in one shot. Behind her, Kell returned, dragging a wounded engineer. "No help's coming," he said. "Signals blocked across all bands. Earth's deaf. We're on our own." Voss nodded. "We always were." Far above, aboard the command vessel Valatrix, Archcommissar Velrix Thun watched the feed with clinical detachment. The human colony burned slowly, like kindling, its defenders scattered, its structure primitive. He tilted his head. "Minimal resistance," his adjutant said. "They'd barely organized. Shall we initiate full assimilation protocols?" Thun made a soft sound. "No. Let them try. It's always the same. A brief scurry of resistance. Then collapse. Like insects swarming before the foot." He turned to the holographic map. A flicker caught his attention, an energy anomaly deep below the southern lava fields. "Curious," he mused. "Something old. Not human." He tapped it once, then dismissed it. "Proceed with Phase 2. No survivors among the armed. The rest we harvest." Back on Erebus, Voss stood in a narrow cave beneath the surface. A refugee tunnel. Not much, but it was something. Her remaining team huddled around a flickering terminal salvaged from a research outpost. 10 dead. 30 wounded, Kel reported. And we lost half the ammo crates. A technician named Ray leaned over the console. I picked up something strange while scanning for Dominion jamming signals. There's a structure out in the southern canyons. Deep underground. It's pulsing. Voss looked at her. Pulsing? Energy signatures. Old. Alien. But not Dominion. A beat of silence. They're not the only ones who buried things on this world, Ray added. Voss considered it. Dominion soldiers weren't built for lava terrain. The southern canyons could be a hiding place, or better, a weapon. Give me coordinates, she said. We don't win this by surviving. We win by making them bleed. Kel raised an eyebrow. You really think we can? No, Voss said. But I think they've never fought a cornered species with nothing left to lose. She looked out at the scorched cavern entrance. Let's teach them what that looks like. The southern canyons were black scars stretching across Erebus Prime's volcanic skin. Steam hissed from fissures, and the air smelled like rusted iron and old fire. Captain Dara Voss moved quickly, rifle slung, boots crunching over basalt. Behind her, a column of survivors wound through the narrow pass. Miners, medics, farmhands, and a few soldiers who hadn't broken under the first assault. They were all that remained. No one spoke. No one needed to. The sky hadn't cleared since the bombardment, and the silence pressed like gravity. Kel caught up, face grim beneath his dust-streaked helmet. Scouts report Dominion patrols near the northern ridge. They're expanding outward, sweeping methodically. Voss nodded. We'll hit them before they adjust. He glanced at the civilians. We're not exactly a strike team. We're not dying in tunnels either, she said. If they think we'll crawl into a hole and wait, they don't understand us at all. They set up camp beneath a rock overhang, hidden from aerial scans. Makeshift shelters sprang up, tarps stretched between boulders, power packs scavenged from wrecked harvesters, and a calm array jury-rigged by a teenager named Milo. He was 16, pale and wiry, with a nervous energy that annoyed Kel but intrigued Voss. His hands worked faster than most soldiers' minds. I boosted the signal range, he explained, crouched beside the dish. Still can't reach Earth, but I cracked part of their local encryption. You hacked Dominion comms? Voss asked, impressed. Sort of. I piggybacked one of their drones before it fried. What did you hear? Milo looked uncomfortable. They're cataloging survivors, prioritizing non-hostiles for relocation. Everyone else exterminated. A hard silence followed. Voss turned away and adjusted her rifle strap. Good work. Keep listening. The next morning, she led a team into the lava fields. Ray, the technician who had first spotted the anomaly, guided them using a portable scanner. The readings pulsed stronger the deeper they went. They reached a collapsed ridge after an hour. The scanner pinged wildly. Ray knelt beside a fissure half hidden by slag and ash. She wiped it clear, revealing an unnatural curve, metal, not stone. Voss crouched beside her. That's a door. Ray nodded. Buried tech. Way older than the colony. Dominion didn't build this. The entrance required no key. When Voss brushed the surface, it rippled and vanished like mist. Beyond, the tunnel was black. No lights. No sound. She stepped inside. The structure was massive, vaulted ceilings lined with strange glyphs, surfaces of obsidian and bronze that hummed faintly with buried power. It didn't feel dead. It felt dormant. What is this place? Kel murmured. No idea, Voss replied, eyes scanning the walls. But it wasn't built for looks. In the central chamber, a massive construct hovered, a floating core wrapped in rings of moving light, each etched with symbols. Ray was already scanning. "It's a tactical system," she whispered. "Semi-organic. I think it interfaces biologically." "Like a neural link?" Voss asked. "Exactly. But it's reactive. You don't control it. You join it." She looked up. "This isn't a weapon. It's a battlefield brain." Voss stood before the construct as Ray adjusted the link array. No one spoke. The atmosphere buzzed with unease. "You're sure about this?" Kel asked quietly. "No," she said. "But if I'm right, this gives us the edge we need. If I'm wrong, it kills me fast." "Comforting." She stepped forward. The rings rotated faster. A pulse of light reached toward her, wrapping around her forehead like a crown of fire. Her body jerked, once, then stilled. The room faded. For a moment, there was only silence. Then vision. She saw the canyon in layers, thermal signatures, seismic vibrations, Dominion patrol routes. Time fractured. She could predict. She could plan. She could see the battlefield like it was etched into her mind. When she opened her eyes, minutes had passed. Her voice was steady. "I know where they'll strike next. And I know how to break them." That night, Voss stood above the resistance camp, staring into the dark. Her mind burned with fragments, pathways, probabilities, weakness points in the enemy's armor. The relic hadn't given her power. It had given her clarity. Kel approached, arms crossed. "You're different. I'm thinking faster. You sure that's all it is?" She didn't answer. Instead, she pointed to a ridge across the canyon. "Dominion scouts will pass there tomorrow. We let them. Then we collapse the pass and box them in. After that, we hit their forward base. Take their supplies, leave nothing behind." Kel raised an eyebrow. "We're going on the offensive?" Voss looked at him. "They wanted a war. Let's give them one." At dawn, the trap was laid. Claymore mines built from mining charges. Shaped shrapnel. Diversions rigged with heat signatures. The Dominion patrol arrived precisely on schedule. 6 soldiers, 2 drones. Perfect formation, unaware. Voss gave the signal. The canyon roared as the charges blew. Rocks slammed down, sealing the path. Her team opened fire from above. The enemy scrambled, confused. One drone exploded midair. Another spiraled out, crashing into slag. By the time the smoke cleared, all 6 soldiers lay motionless in the dust. No losses. No hesitation. The resistance had drawn first blood. Velric stood and stared at the report with narrowed eyes. On the screen, grainy footage showed Dominion forces being routed. Crude explosives. Guerrilla tactics. Effective. He leaned forward. "They were disorganized. Now they're calculating." His adjutant shifted uncomfortably. "There's speculation among command that they've activated something beneath the surface. Old tech." Thun's voice was cold. "Irrelevant. No primitive should be this effective." He stood, fingers curling into a fist. "Enough games. Prepare orbital support. I want their entire canyon erased." Back on Erebus, Voss stood over the captured Dominion weapons crate. Plasma rifles, armor shards, and, most importantly, a working comm unit. Milo cracked it in under an hour. He handed her an earpiece. "They're angry. Really angry." She slid it in. A sharp, mechanical voice echoed. "Containment failure acknowledged. Initiate purge sequence. Eliminate resistance cell immediately." Voss smiled thinly. "They think we're a cell, not a people." Kel looked at her. "So what now?" She looked out at the horizon, where smoke still lingered from the ambush. Now we show them the difference. The relic whispered now. Not in words, but patterns, impressions, bursts of raw data pulsing behind Voss's eyes. The link had deepened. Her thoughts no longer moved in a straight line. They branched, intersected, calculated. She could feel Dominion ships before radar picked them up. She could see terrain in topography and threat metrics. The relic was evolving, and so was she. But it was taking something. Sleep came less. Emotion dulled. She remembered her brother's face and realized she couldn't recall the sound of his voice. Enemy scout drone, 2 clicks west, Voss said quietly, without looking. Kell, crouched beside her on the overlook, peered through his scope. How the hell do you? Never mind. He adjusted the sight and fired. A sharp crack. The drone exploded midair in a silent flash. Clean shot, she said. You didn't even glance up. I didn't need to. He gave her a long look. You're pushing too far into that thing. We don't know what it's doing to you. She stood, slinging her rifle. It's showing me what we need to win. Kell didn't move. I don't want to win if it turns you into something we can't follow. Voss paused. I'll stop when the war does. That night, they gathered around a metal table deep inside the ancient vault. Voss projected a holographic map, constructed in real time by the relic, every Dominion outpost, supply line, patrol vector. The others leaned in, silent, the firelight flickering across tired faces. There's a munitions depot here, she said, pointing to a ridge near a sulfur plain. They refuel drones, store plasma cells, cycle officers between orbital drops. If we hit it, we cripple their forward command for weeks. Milo looked up. We don't have weeks. No, Voss agreed. We hit it tomorrow. Ray frowned. You want to take a high-security depot with 20 miners and a couple of stolen rifles? No, Voss said. I want to take it with the plan I'm about to show you. She laid it out. Not a speech, just sharp, precise actions. Diversions with thermal decoys. Infiltration under the lava crust. EMP bursts rigged from old atmospheric stabilizers. The relic filled in the details she didn't consciously grasp. Optimal angles, power core locations, enemy reaction times. Ray leaned back slowly. That could actually work. It will, Voss said. Kell remained quiet. The infiltration began at dawn. They moved like shadows under Erebus's red light, entering the crustal vent southeast of the depot. The air was suffocating, thick with fumes. No words were exchanged. At the perimeter, Milo disabled the outer motion field using a Dominion frequency he decoded days ago. Voss led the charge. They moved swiftly, planting EMP charges, taking out guards with makeshift silencers and heat blades. Precision, not power. Inside the depot, Dominion officers scrambled too late. The resistance detonated the north wall and swept through with salvaged weapons. Voss moved without hesitation, every corner, every enemy, exactly where the relic had predicted. One of the soldiers lunged at her. She dodged with unnatural timing, fired point blank, and caught Kell's gaze across the wreckage. He looked almost afraid. They torched the depot before leaving. Flames rose behind them as the team exfiltrated into the sulfur plain. They didn't speak until they were halfway back to camp. Ray finally broke the silence. You were right. They didn't expect us to fight like this. Kell nodded but didn't look at Voss. No. They didn't expect her. Voss said nothing. The relic thrummed in the base of her skull, feeding her the next path forward. Hours later, she sat alone at the edge of the canyon, watching the storm clouds roll over the black horizon. Her hands trembled slightly, though she kept them still. The feedback was increasing. Headaches now. Blurred edges around people's faces. But the victories were real. The Dominion was bleeding. pulling back, repositioning. They had underestimated the cost of occupation. Now, they weren't sure how to respond. That fear, Voss knew, was the beginning of their defeat. She closed her eyes. The relic pulsed again. Flashes, orbital troop movements, fleet locations. A communications hub aboard the Dominion flagship Valatrix. Vulnerable. If taken, the entire invasion network could collapse. She opened her eyes. It was time to end this. In orbit, aboard the Valatrix, Thun stared at the tactical display. Dozens of markers were blinking red: destroyed depots, lost units, hijacked supply lines. The resistance wasn't just surviving. It was dismantling his campaign. He turned to his command AI. Explain. Human activity has escalated beyond predicted variance. The AI responded calmly. Tactics suggest nonlinear threat modeling. Potential use of external computational augmentation. You mean they're using something older than us? Thun growled. That is a possibility. He paced, fists clenched behind his back. This world is becoming a liability. Orbital strike authorization is ready. Thun paused. No. We finished this cleanly. I want their leader. The one they follow. The one changing them. Back on Erebus, Kel cornered Voss beside a dormant geothermal vent. We need to talk, he said quietly. She looked at him, unreadable. You're not the same. Not just smarter, different. I don't have time for this. You have to make time. That relic is changing you. You move like you already know what's coming. You talk like a machine. What happens when it wants something you don't? She stepped closer. You think I haven't thought about that every hour of every day? But if we don't stop them now, we don't get a later. Kel shook his head. You're not fighting with us anymore, Dara. You're leading us from somewhere else. A pause. Then try to keep up, she said, and walked away. The next operation would be the last. Voss had seen it. The path wasn't guaranteed, but it was clear. One opening, brief, but enough. The Dominion's orbital relay aboard Valatrix was unguarded during a cruise cycle shift. If they seized it, they could broadcast a virus through the fleet's command net, blind the enemy, force retreat. But it required a shuttle. They had one. Buried in a forgotten outpost from the AI war. It was a relic, much like the one Voss carried in her mind. But it flew. She gathered the team. We take the shuttle, she said. We board the ship. We sever their link. We end this. Milo raised a hand. Isn't that suicide? Yes, she replied. But it's also victory. No one argued. Not because they didn't fear the odds, but because they believed her. Because somewhere in the fire and ash, Voss had become more than just human. She had become inevitable.
The shuttle groaned as it clawed through Erebus Prime's upper atmosphere, ancient plating rattling with every shift in turbulence. Built during the AI war, it wasn't designed for elegance, only survival. A scorched hull, manual controls, and reactors shielding that buzzed like a hive under pressure. Captain Dara Voss sat in the pilot's seat silent, eyes fixed on the trajectory window. The relic inside her skull pulsed rhythmically. It wasn't giving her commands, just clarity. Possibilities. Patterns. Everything was probability now, and she was the knife cutting through it. Behind her, the team braced in silence. Kel, Ray, Milo, and 2 militia fighters whose names she hadn't bothered to ask. They all knew the risks. No illusions. This mission had no return route. Milo's voice cracked through the headset. Crossing into upper orbit. No intercepts yet. Voss didn't answer. She was already ahead, watching their path unfold. The Valatrix loomed in the dark like a sleeping leviathan, its hull alive with shifting lights and rotating antenna arrays. It looked invincible. But it wasn't. She tapped the console. 10 seconds to breach window. Full burn. Hold tight. The engines ignited like thunder. The shuttle surged forward, silent in the void, riding the narrowest margin of detection. The Dominion's defense grid was momentarily blind, exactly as the relic had shown her. One heartbeat too slow, and they'd vanish in a flash of plasma. They didn't. The shuttle slammed into the Velatrix's underbelly with a bone-rattling thud. Magnetic clamps locked. Voss was already moving. She blew the airlock and dropped into the corridor before the smoke cleared. Inside was a different world. Cold metal, white light, sterile silence. Dominion tech felt surgical, designed to erase, not preserve. Ray secured the breach. "We're in." Voss led them down a narrow spine of maintenance tunnels, avoiding main arteries. The relic projected Dominion patrols like ghosts in her vision. Turn left, duck here, wait 5 seconds, move. She was faster than their systems. At the central hub, 2 guards blocked the final corridor. Kell raised his rifle, but Voss held up a hand. She moved first. The first soldier fell before he turned. The second managed to breathe before a blade slid beneath his ribs. Clean. Silent. Kell exhaled. "That's not training." Voss didn't respond. She keyed the final door. The relay core lay ahead, a spire of crystalline circuitry, humming with real-time Dominion data. The heart of the invasion. Destroy it, and the command net would fracture. Confusion would ripple through every ship, every soldier. Ray approached the terminal. "This is it. I can upload the virus, but it needs 30 seconds of uninterrupted connection." Voss nodded. "Do it." The doors behind them slammed shut. Then alarms. "Too late," Kell muttered. "They're onto us." Voss turned. "Hold them." 30 seconds. Footsteps thundered in the corridor. Dominion troopers poured through, disciplined, fast, lethal. Plasma bolts seared the air. Kell and the others fired from behind crates and fallen panels. Milo ducked beside Ray, shielding her as she typed furiously. Voss moved through the chaos like smoke. She didn't dodge. She flowed. Each motion exact. Each bullet purposeful. The relic wasn't just guiding her now, it was inside her. They were one. A soldier lunged. She caught his arm, twisted, broke it clean, then dropped him with a shot through the neck. 15 seconds! Ray shouted. Kell took a hit to the shoulder, fell back with a grunt. Voss knelt beside him, yanked him into cover. "You're bleeding." "You think?" "Good. Means you're still useful." He laughed, then winced. "You always know how to motivate." Thuan watched the incursion feed from the command bridge. Multiple life signs. Rapid loss of contact from internal units. He narrowed his eyes. "It's her," he muttered. "The anomaly." His adjutant looked panicked. "Shall we initiate self-destruct?" "No. I want her captured." "Now." "Sir, if she reaches the core." "She won't." "Upload complete," Ray shouted. Voss turned to cover them. "Get to the shuttle." "I'll stay." Kell tried to stand. "Like hell. This was never a group ticket, Kell. You think we can't finish without you?" "No," she said. "I think I'm the only reason you got this far." They stared at each other a long beat. He nodded once. Then he ran. Voss turned back toward the hall, where fresh Dominion forces charged. She stepped into their path without fear. Bullets sang. Time bent. She moved faster. Her body took hits shoulder, leg, chest. She didn't fall. Pain dulled. The relic pushed harder. It fed her muscle memory she didn't have, strategies humans weren't meant to learn. She wasn't thinking anymore. She was executing. She was war made flesh. The last enemy dropped. She staggered, blood soaking her armor. Lights flickered. Sirens screamed. The floor shook beneath her. The virus had worked. Dominion signals collapsed. Conflicting orders spread through the fleet like disease. Ships retreated. Orders dissolved into chaos. Voss dropped to one knee. Her breath came ragged. Then, footsteps. Velrix Thuan entered, flanked by 2 elite guards. His eyes locked onto her, curious, appraising. So, you're the virus. She looked up slowly, eyes like ash. I'm the cure, she rasped. He raised a hand. His guards advanced. She fired once, twice, clean shots, final shots. They dropped. Thuan moved like a predator. He grabbed her arm, slammed her to the wall. You should have stayed broken. I was, she gasped. Then you came. He raised a blade, curved and gleaming. She smiled. The grenade in her palm blinked once. He saw it too late. The explosion ripped through the corridor. Half the relay chamber collapsed in on itself. Later, when the Valatrix's broken hull drifted silently above Erebus, the resistance cheered in the caves below. Dominion ships retreated. The sky cleared. The war was over. Kel stood beside a makeshift grave, carved into basalt. A rifle marked the head. No body. She did it, Ray said beside him. He nodded. At a cost. She chose it. Yeah, he whispered. She always did. He looked up at the stars. They thought we were weak. Ray glanced at him. And? He smiled, sad and proud. We showed them war.